Hello, 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 everyone. I hope you guys are all enjoying the program so far. Oh, good. Nice and quiet. Thank you. So, hi, you guys. I am not Laura Grier. And I am not a wedding professional. My name is Leslie Durso, and I'm actually a vegan chef, but I have the honor of having Laura Grier as one of my best friends, and it is my absolute pleasure to introduce her to you guys today. I'm very quickly going to give you a little bit of background on Laura and a little bit about what she does and who she is, and then she'll take it from there. All right, so for Laura Grier, growing up in Indonesia, Thailand, and Japan, and the U.S., planted a seed for what would become a lifelong quest to travel and document the world. With a dual degree from Syracuse University in both photojournalism and art photography, Laura has always blended the two genres to create a unique conceptual style that allows her to work and stand alone as an artist. By age 18, Laura obtained top secret clearance with the Central Intelligence Agency, yes, the CIA. Laura worked for the CIA. And she worked in their photo imaging department. She then went to work in London for the rock and roll themed magazine Mix Mag, and 2 years later she understudied with National Geographic photographer Ed Casci in Florence, Italy, which launched her career with that magazine. And if you haven't seen her work in National Geographic, it's amazing. Since then, her photography has taken her to 6 continents, and she's worked freelance for a variety of media giants as well as entertainment studios. She's been published countless times in over 25 different magazines and won the nationwide photo contest in American Photo Magazine for the top 10 best wedding photos of the year. And recently, one of Laura's photos won the worldwide National Geographic contest for the top 10 best travel photos of the year. And she just won PDN Magazine's Top Knots contest in 2013. She's kind of rad. And presently, Laura is a Los Angeles-based photojournalist and the founder and owner of Beautiful Day Photography, which is one of LA's most highly regarded wedding companies, specializing in destination weddings. During the year, she can be seen overseas shooting weddings, balancing language books in one hand and the camera in another. Laura's ability to combine her love of travel, adventure, weddings, and art into chic, vibrant perspective has made her a renowned international photographer. So I have the pleasure of introducing you guys to Miss Laura Grier. Enjoy the presentation.
You're so funny. Thank you, Chico. That's Leslie Durso. Woo-hoo. She's an amazing vegan chef, by the way. So not to confuse, but I had my slide earlier that says the psychology of color and styled shoots. This is visual intelligence. We are talking about that, but we are going to be talking a lot about collaborating and use of color and branding. So I just wanted to give you guys a heads up. You are in the right place. So as Leslie said, I'm Laura Grier with Beautiful Day Photography, and thank you guys so much for being here. It's a packed room. This is awesome. I love being in the company of so much talent, and that's one of the reasons I love this industry. So hopefully I'll get to meet and talk to a bunch of you guys later. There will be kind of a Q&A later. If you guys have any questions for me. So today we're going to be talking about branding, but specifically color branding, which is what I like to describe for my business. So I also wanted to talk about how to create and to collaborate and to confirm your brands. And we all have heard about these large brands. I mean, some of them are here. We've got Martha Stewart, who was just speaking before us. The Knot. Within our industry, we've got Apple Computers and Google, and there's so many huge global brands out there. But what about us smaller businesses? Just because we're not a global brand doesn't mean we don't have to think about how to brand ourselves. So it's really important because not all of us have like 100 employees. Some of us have like, an intern and a half-eaten sandwich, and that's our company. And, it doesn't really matter like how big or small you are. You should all really be, paying attention to your brand and how you are being described out there in the marketplace. So our entire identity and past and how we grew up really affects our brand whether we realize it or not. It's kind of a subconscious thing. With me, as Leslie kind of touched on, I grew up with an interesting background. I'm going to show you some slides. When I did my bio on my website, I chose like 30 slides of me around the world because that's how, I don't have a headshot of myself. This is my headshot. I wanted to showcase what I love and about me. So my background is I grew up with 2 parents in the CIA, and I didn't know they were CIA agents until I was in high school. They were undercover, and it's a funny story actually how I found out. My mom had confiscated my fake ID when I was 17, so I was like going through her closet trying to find it, and instead I found all 6 of hers. So Yeah, that's how I found out, honest to God truth. So I just knew we lived all over the world, and I just thought my parents, like were in the State Department or something, I don't know. But my whole life I just was around, a lot of adventure and cultures and colors, and I always had this like bug for traveling. And so in my head, I wanted to be a National Geographic scientist or Jacques Cousteau. And to me, that was what Indiana Jones was, like an archaeologist. I wanted to be a zoologist or an archaeologist. So my whole life, I'm like, I'm going to be Indiana Jones. And then later on, I realized I'm not going to be an archaeologist, but I could be the cool photographer that follows those people in their adventures, and that's what gave me the idea to become a photographer. So I went to Syracuse University and did studying abroad and studied fine art, and it was there that I asked myself the question that we're actually going to constantly ask ourselves this question throughout our lives, which is, all right, what now? Like, what do we do? What do we do next in our job? Like, where are we? And that's how I felt in college. I'm like, awesome, I'm studying photography, but I have no idea what kind of photography I want to do. Weddings definitely didn't cross my mind. I was like in a fine art school. And all of a sudden, I was inspired by this guy, David LaChapelle. And for those of you photographers out there, maybe non-photographers, he's a huge inspiration to me. He does really vibrant, colorful images, and some of them are really disturbing. If you Google this guy, you'll see what I'm talking about. But no matter how weird or out there his images are, you can't stop staring at them. They're so beautiful and colorful, and everything is purposeful. There's no accident in this image. Every color, every piece of whatever in the photo is like completely placed there. And I thought that it just really, really struck me emotionally and was so beautiful to me. So when I started shooting weddings, I was like, well, why can't I take some of those approaches, with weddings? I know, as a photojournalist or even as wedding vendors, there's a lot out of our control with weddings. I mean, you've got weather and emotions and crazy things going on and timelines, and there's a lot that you have to work with that you can't control. But there are things you can control, and some of it is finding your backgrounds and your light, or the decor, or the color scheme, or your post-production later on. Or there's just a lot of ways that you can evoke emotion with your clients. And for me, that's what I try to do with my photography through the use of color. I try to evoke emotion because there's probably a lot of non-photographers here. Everyone is trying to reach their client emotionally, and we think so much about all the five senses. You've got your tastes and smells and touch and stuff at a wedding, but I think about the sixth sense of emotion and evoking that. And most of these people are really they're almost like on a high on their wedding day. They're like having these heightened emotions. So why not give them imagery that kind of matches that feeling?